right, what's up, everybody? We're going to get going here in just about 2 minutes. Hope everybody's having a great time tonight. We got about 30 seconds left before we get going here. 30-second warning. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Model Monday Live. My name is TooTallToby. I'll be your host tonight. And we are excited tonight. We got a very special guest. I'm super excited to introduce him. But before we do, we're going to talk just a little bit about our modeling challenge. I know that's why everybody's here. How's everybody doing? Let me take a look at the chat, see how everybody's doing real quick here. I can see Sean O'Neill in the chat. That's awesome. I can see Mike Puckett in the chat here. How you doing, Mike? Welcome. Haven't even had a chance to look at the chat yet here, so I'm going to bring this over. Say hello to everybody. Make sure we got our special guest announcement here up on the PowerPoint. Let's see what we got here on the chat as well. Bring this up so everybody can see what we're thinking through here. What's up, Allness? Auxiliary Moose tuning in again. Just got a gaming mouse and got it set up with some shortcuts. What a difference. That's awesome, Allness. Good job. And then he right away gets into super technical stuff because that's how smart Allness is. All right. And Moldolci is here. What's up, Moldolci? Great to see you. Let me know, guys, how the audio sounds. I feel like my mic might be clipping a little bit. If it is, let me know, and I'll see if I can get neurotic and try to fix it while we're going through here. What's up, John? How you doing? Thanks for tuning in, and welcome. And Chris is here as well. How's it going, Chris? Let me know, of course, as always, if the audio is good compared to the music. I don't want the music to be too loud because we want to make sure we can hear our special guests tonight. And what is up, Cam? How you doing? Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Cam's audio is just a tad hot. All right, I'll see what I can do to resolve that. Cam, appreciate that. All right, awesome. Well, let's get into it here, everybody. I know that you guys are excited about our regular weekly scheduled modeling challenge. So let's just jump right into it. Tonight is February 1st, 2021. Welcome to another episode of Model Monday Live, where we challenge you, the chat, to take a 2D print and turn it into a 3D model. Now, normally we would have points that you could earn for a leaderboard, but tonight we're just going to do a little practice, just practice only tonight, but still fun, friendly competition. And if you want, you could win all three. We'll see if anybody can completely run the board and win all three. So on that note, what are you going to need? Well, you're going to need a YouTube chat login, and you're going to need a 3D CAD system that can input density and output mass. Me personally, I use SolidWorks. I love SolidWorks, but if you are using something else, that's fine. As long as you can input density and output mass, you should be good to go. Eric says audio is a little muffly. I'll see what I can do to resolve that. Eric, thank you very much for that feedback. Just in case you're here for the first time, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that you have the ability to create maybe some templates or make sure that you got your materials set up. I know there are some people maybe who are competing for the first time tonight. So if you're here for the first time, I just want to call your attention to the densities that we're going to be using for these challenges. We're going to be using a unit system of IPS or MMGS, and we're going to be using one of these three materials. So if you are here for the first time, maybe let us know in the chat. They can definitely all welcome you. We have one of the best chats out there. Certainly the best chat in the world of competitive online 3D CAD modeling challenges. So if you want to welcome, just say hello. We'd love to know if you're here for the first time. You may also want to take a quick screenshot of these materials so that you can make sure that you've got templates and material properties set up that match these materials that we'll be using throughout these challenges. So with that all being said, let's get into it here, and we are going to get into this first challenge, which is called Mount. So let me flip over to full screen here and make sure you have the chance. Again, if you're here for the first time, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a screen capture of this. So I'm going to flip over to the print now in 3, 2, 1, go. And the competition is now live. So take a screen capture of this 2D print, and your challenge is to turn this 2D print into a 3D model, determine what the mass of this part is in pounds, and then enter that into the chat. And while you're doing that, my challenge is going to be to try to figure out what's going on with my mic. Just trying to make a couple of quick adjustments here. I think I'm going to just turn the music down a smidge as well. Maybe coming through a little loud. So let me see if I can't figure out a setting here on my mic while you guys are grabbing that screen capture and beginning this challenge. Let me see here if this makes any difference, if that gets me a little bit clearer. Made one quick adjustment here to the gain in the microphone properties, so I'm going to just talk here for a moment, see what it sounds like, see if that sounds any better, and we'll go from there. Appreciate you guys giving me that feedback. Oh yeah, I think that does sound a little clearer. Sweet. All right. Well, I am excited. I know you guys are excited. Last week, we talked a little bit about the world of 3D Experience and some things that I would do when I'm getting ready to register for 3D Experience. Well, this week, we have a special guest, none other than Sean O'Neill. So, Sean, I'm going to flip over, bring you up on screen here. Welcome to the party. Hey. How are you doing?
What's up, guys? I'm doing great. How are you, Toby? How's everyone doing?
Oh, man. I'm doing so good now that you're here.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you are, but I'm doing so well now that you're here.
I don't really have a good intro for you, Sean. I'm sorry. I just have you have your video up on the screen, and I just have Sean O'Neill. So maybe you can just take a sec to begin with, because there could be some people who are tuning in for the first time who don't know who you are. Maybe you can just introduce yourself and let everybody know why I thought it was important to have you on the show tonight.
No, that's absolutely okay. So it's funny. I mean, a lot of the names and the faces that I see in the chat right now are names and faces that I fully recognize. So, what's up, Cam, and Eric and Ray and everyone else. That's Tom is part of the Champions program. So yeah, that is one thing that I do here at SolidWorks. I guess I made and I manage the Champions program here, which aims to bring together, some of the most passionate and certified SolidWorks users from around the world. We have champions from over, at this point, 35 different countries. And it's a program that we actually just launched this past year in 2020. So, definitely do a lot of that, as well as the SolidWorks Influencer program, where I'm sure a lot of you, if you keep up with some of the latest sort of SolidWorks news and stories, you might have seen something that came from it. But kind of this is the way I put my CSWE to good use these days. So I partner with high-level design and engineering YouTubers to kind of help tell SolidWorks and 3D Experience work stories for the wider audience. But but yeah, there's a lot going on. Obviously that's kind of more day to day, but like you said, Toby, 3D Experience World 2021,
It's coming.
fully virtual. It's coming up, right?
Coming.
And I'm happy to be here to share what I can about just kind of tips for the event.
I'm happy that you're here as well. I'm doing a little bit of adjustment here so that everybody can see the chat and can see you. Hopefully I'm not overlapping onto you too much while I'm doing it, but I think what you just said there is a great place to start, which is to introduce the Champions program. So this is a program that's available from SolidWorks to users who are out there who are enthusiastic about the wonderful world of SolidWorks. And this is really something that you started last year in 2020?
Yeah, so we started in 2020, and the impetus of it was really that we've had the SolidWorks User Group Network for quite some time. We still have it today. It's thriving, right? I see tons of new groups added. It seems like every week under the new leadership of Dan Wagner, is doing an awesome job.
Shout out to Dan Wagner.
Yeah, shout out to Dan Wagner. And yeah, so we've had tons of great user group leaders, and we still do today, who are actively involved with SolidWorks and just about the ecosystem overall. But you and I know, right? We have tons of other different types of really high level users out there in the community that volunteer their time in other ways. Be it content creation or leading a STEM group, or maybe first robotics team, something like that. Who are really, really connected and putting their certified, high levels of SolidWorks expertise and passion to good use in both offline and online spaces. And so given that, right, and given, I'm a content creator myself, I just sort of saw this need, and we sort of saw this need to kind of engage more of a wider array of these types of high level users. And that was the genesis of the Champions program and what we do today.
So for those who are out there, if you're in the chat and you are currently a champion, maybe sing up a little bit. Let us know if you're a champion out there, and maybe let us know a little bit about what you like about the program. And Sean,
Absolutely.
Maybe you could say in your own words, what's the benefit of joining? Is this just like one more thing that I have to do? Like, what do I get out of it if I join, if I become a SolidWorks champion?
Yeah, so I say this a lot to user group leaders. It's definitely not something you have to do. And if you don't want to, that's okay. I totally get it. But in terms of, what you get out of it if you are a SolidWorks champion, part of it is just the esteem of being able to say I'm a SolidWorks champion, right? Being able to kind of be at that level of different cohorts in the community. But I think more, I guess, to say like programmatically in terms of involvement and what it's all about. Really what we wanted to do is we wanted to give, again, like a broader base of users the opportunity to sort of get involved with different special projects on the SolidWorks side, and also to be able to connect with each other in deeper ways, right? So like Mike knows, I know Mike's here, we have tons of CSWEs around the world. Shout out to Mike Puckett.
Yep.
We have tons of CSWEs from around the world, and a lot of them are fortunately very involved in the community in so many ways. One of the things that we wanted to do with the Champions program is just give that certified sort of, ultra certified user base who's very involved a chance to network with each other. So we have special sort of private community spaces where you can, interact with other champions that are at your level of certification, at your level of involvement,
right? Your level of nerd.
At your level of nerd, right?
Yeah,
which
I love just nerding out with other SolidWorks users, power users.
Exactly. So that's one of the things you can do, and members of the SolidWorks team directly and sort of champions only spaces. But another thing you would see, like if you kind of go through the application process of becoming or sort of applying to be a champion, is you'll see a lot of different sort of opportunities for involvement. Some of these things are R&D based. For example, you're saying like, hey, I'd love to be kind of the first person to look to, for example, for like a new product trial, a lighthouse program. Or maybe it's something on the marketing end, right? Where it's like, hey, if you're looking for someone who wants to be involved in a case study, look no further. I'd love to do something like that. Or a speaking opportunity, right? Which is very topical with 3D Experience Pro coming up. And a lot of champions are presenting on the user agenda track and have been involved in the event this year in some brand new, pretty exciting ways. But tons of different, everything you think of SolidWorks doing, whether it's again marketing or R&D or whatever, kind of that deeper connection to SolidWorks and what we do here. That's one of the things that we try to make available to champions as much as we can, while giving them that way to build community amongst each other as well.
Well, I got to say that one of the people in the chat, Eric here, says that part of the benefit is the esteem that comes from having the Sean O'Neill deem you worthy. So that's just another benefit that we see in there as well. And shout out to Cam and to Eric. Appreciate the advice on the volume. I'm going to get it dialed in here at some point. I do appreciate that. Let me know if that's maybe a little bit better. And yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot to be said for being able to get in there and kind of talk with other users who are kind of at the same level as you. So again, for those of you, I know I didn't really give Sean a very good introduction, but Sean works at SO SolidWorks, does a lot with community engagement. I remember last year at the World Conference, Sean was the one who kind of had the idea of putting together these little pods where you could get together and talk to other people. Hive, these different hives where you could get together and talk to other people. And I thought that was really cool too. I mean, you've always been the guy who gets in there and lets people know, like, this is another space you can go to if you want to communicate with other SolidWorks enthusiasts. And so I think it's a very noble effort, and I'm really glad to have you running that, Sean, because you do a great job with it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. It's a really rewarding job. I mean, obviously you guys who are in the chat, you know, it's all about you. But, you know, just being able to try to create and make those sorts of spaces, a lot of times with ideas that honestly come from the community, you know, some of them were mine, but a lot of times, as you know, Toby, it's like you can have an idea, but then, you know, if you just open that idea to other people who are really smart and dedicated, it could become something much greater than you could ever have imagined. Which I think the Champions program, it's not even around a year, and it's already, you know, I think we'd all agree, become that, which is really awesome.
How many people are officially champions at this point? Are you able to say?
Yeah, for sure. So we're kind of holding off on the next batch, at least in terms of acceptances, until right after World, which is coming up. So we'll kind of begin ramping up as we go, coming into 2021 here. But over 220 at this point.
Wow.
So a little over 220. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Again, pretty much from every industry you can imagine that would ever use SolidWorks.
Wow.
And yeah, again, 35. I'm really proud to say 35 different countries. Just because it's a crazy amount of just global diversity, and with that you get so many different takes on how to do things, and so many different takes on almost everything, right? And that's, I think, what makes us better users and better people overall.
Wow, that's impressive. 220, man. That's a lot of users to kind of manage and you know, keep track of. And you mentioned there that maybe some of those users are going to be presenting at the World Conference. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. So we have every few weeks we have a champions only meetup called Champions Central Live. So our private space is called Champion Central, where we can kind of talk amongst each other and stuff like that. But we have Champion Central Live, where basically, you know, champions will share SolidWorks stories or share SolidWorks tips with each other. A lot of times we'll have, say, someone from product management come on just to talk about, hey, what's coming down the pipeline directly to champions. So you kind of get that you know, that sort of special level of access. But yeah, it's a great time overall.
Well, I definitely want to talk a little bit more about that. And we can see here that Nick says, will there be a limit to the number of SolidWorks champions, or will it just keep going up as more people apply? Do you guys have a total cap? Like there can only ever be 1,000 at a time or anything like that?
It's a good question. Nick's on the program too. So Nick, it's a great question, I think, for everyone. Right now there's no idea for a cap, but I will say that is a consideration. It's been a consideration from the start. Like you said, I think, you know, a dream is always to have sort of, you know, at least if you look at it through one lens, right? A dream is to have something where, whether it's a product you're launching, an app, or a community, right? A dream is to sort of just launch it day one, turn the lights on, and there's tons of people there. But, you know,
doesn't always work out that way.
But even when it does, right? I mean, sometimes when it does, it's not exactly what you had imagined, right? Because you have a whole other set of problems. So one of the things I try to be mindful of is to try to not scale it too quickly, to where for the champions who are in the program, it becomes a diluted experience. Right. I think we want to try to give people the chance to get to know one another, get integrated in the program. Because sometimes when you open up the floodgates too quickly, especially with a brand new thing, it can start to feel a little murky. So we try to avoid that. We may scale quicker in the future, but right now we're kind of, I think, scaling in a way that feels, I think we'd all agree, kind of right.
Yeah, both Nick and Cam are saying that feeling of kind of exclusivity is really important. I think definitely, especially for a program like this.
Yeah, and I think they would also agree. Like it's definitely, there is a feeling of exclusivity, but also I think there's this sort of want and desire to sort of at least settle in on roughly at least like who's in the program with me, to where it doesn't just get crazy out of control where it's like, where am I? And you never want to create an experience like that. And so while we're a totally welcoming group, I think I can say that. And even when we announce like, hey, there's a new batch of 20, 30 champions that we want to say welcome to, our chat just lights up with really warm messages for those new people. So it's definitely it's kind of a duality in a sense, but I think everyone has the right thing in mind.
Yeah, Nick's basically saying the same thing that you're saying right now. So that's awesome. And hey, speaking of welcoming new people, shout out to Brandon here in the chat. So Brandon says that part was wild. I'm using Autodesk Inventor Pro and never used SolidWorks. So that's awesome, Brandon. Well, welcome to the party. Hello.
Yeah, welcome, Brandon.
Yep. And hopefully you're able to get that mask correct. And I think on that note, Sean, I'm going to flip back to the PowerPoint here and just kind of go through and see if anybody was able to get the mask correct. So let me jump back here to the PowerPoint, and we're going to take a look here. Let's see what we got here for our answers from our chat here. So I saw that the first answers actually started coming in pretty quick, and none other than Tom Smith, multi-time Model Mania champion winner, got in here with the very first answer at 0.348. Now we're rounding up to the nearest 0.xx pounds, Sean. So how long do you think it would take you to build this part?
Let me see. I think probably
7 seconds.
No way. I would say 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Wow. It's pretty accurate, I think, actually. It's probably about how long it would take me too. Pretty slow these days. I'm getting older.
Well, I would say too, I mean, some of it's probably a little bit of rust, but I think the other thing is like I would be really careful about checking dimensions on this.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird part. It's like a plastic mount that would maybe go between two other parts. So that's what it looks like, some kind of coupling between two other parts. So looks like Tom came in at 0.348, round that up to 0.35. We got Alness in here, same thing, 0.351, rounding it to 0.35. We got 3167, 0.346, once again, round that up to 0.35. So it's pretty consistent here. I think it's probably a safe bet that 0.35 is either the right answer or at least pretty close. We got Nick in here. Nick, Tom, and 3167. These guys were all competitors in the tournament that we did back in December. Sean, you probably remember that we did a tournament like that together last year in the middle of summer, and we did one with Dan Wagner in December. So shout out to everybody who was a competitor in that tournament. Let's see here. Who else we got? We got Cam Smith, 3.35. We got Nick correcting to 0.35. Moldolci at 9.44, a little bit higher than what everybody else was getting, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was right or wrong. We got Johnny Gio in here at 0.37. We got Sky Captain at 0.35. Nicely done, Sky Captain. Welcome back to the party. Moldolci here looks like he's correcting here to 0.35. So 0.35. Oh, Johnny Gio here correcting back to 0.35. So 0.35 seems like it's more or less the consensus answer. Let's see if anybody else was able to get in here with an answer. I don't want to miss anybody, and congratulations to everybody who tried to get through this thing. Let's see here. Okay, I think it's probably about enough time. Tom says it took you 10 minutes, only took him 3 minutes. What do you think about that, Sean? And Timothy is in here. What's up, Timothy? How you doing? Welcome. At 0.345, we'll round that up to 0.35 as well. So let's see if anybody got the correct answer. The correct answer is, Sean, big surprise here, I'm sure, 0.35 pounds. 0.35 is the correct answer. So congratulations to everybody who got it. I don't think I saw Cam in there. Cam, did you answer that one? Maybe I missed you. Maybe I even read your name and just didn't even realize it. But I think Cam was in there really helping. Oh yeah, he got it in there. Yeah, 0.348, 0.35. Okay, nice job, Cam. I know Cam and Eric will really help me out with my audio, so hopefully it's a little bit closer to correct. Working with some new systems here, so trying to get everything back in sync. Nicely done, Cam. All right, cool. All right, and let's see here. All right, Eric. Okay, just giving a little bit of advice to Nick there with regards to. Okay, so here we go. Anyone nervous about the next one being crazy sheet metal? That's what Nick says in the chat here. Anyone nervous about the next one being crazy sheet metal? Well, Nick, guess what? You're in luck. The next one is, in fact, a sheet metal design. So, good luck with this one, Sean. Last week, I'm gonna flip over your webcam just for a second here.
Okay.
Last week, for the first time, I think for the first time ever, on Model Monday Live, we did a sheet metal challenge. Figured new year, right? Why not? Let's give him some sheet metal. So this week, I'm gonna give him another one. Gonna keep it going. They got a lot of great positive feedback. People are saying, "I love the sheet metal challenges. Keep the sheet metal coming." Maybe we should just turn this into an exclusive sheet metal series, right? 2021, all sheet metal. Everything's gonna be sheet metal. I'll get it.
Too tall sheet metal.
Yeah, too tall sheet metal. I love it.
It's really tall sheet metal parts.
Yeah, everything. All right, so here we go. Let's get into it here. So this next challenge, once again, using the same materials as last time. If you're here for the first time, just make sure. Brandon, I know you said you were here from a different CAD system. It's all good. Just make sure that your materials are using these densities, and then you should be good. You should be able to model this one up. Now, this is sheet metal. It's using SolidWorks sheet metal features, but just like last week, you could model this up using regular features. You don't have to use bends. But if you do, obviously it's going to give you a little bit of an advantage. Here we go. Let me flip this over to my full screen. 3, 2, 1. There's the 2D print. So I'm going to challenge you guys to Clark says, thank goodness, no missed points. Yeah, no missed points, Sean. I'm sorry, no missed points, Clark. This is the print here. You guys are going to take a screen capture of this print. Now, you'll notice that I called out a couple of dimensions a little bit bigger. Those dimensions are, in my opinion, important. You can see that those dimensions are going directly to the tangent edges of what I would consider, more or less the main shape of this thing. So that's just there to kind of give you a little bit of help along the way. That's actually not necessarily the trickiest part of this model. But what I also want to call your attention to is the general notes up in the upper right corner. The typical wall thickness of this thing is 3 millimeters. The typical inside bend radius is 3 millimeters as well. So if, for example, you look at the 180 dimension in the middle of the screen, and then you go down 2 ticks there to the 186 dimension, well, that's because there's 2 3 millimeter bend radii, on each side of that 186. And then you've also got your 3 millimeter wall thickness on top of that. So just keep that in mind. That's kind of what I'm trying to call out there. This is not the way I would normally define a sheet metal print, but because I'm doing this or trying to facilitate this in a way that even if you don't have sheet metal, you could still technically mock this up. Just trying to kind of give everybody a chance to participate. But you can see what's happening here is we have kind of this triangular tray. It's being folded up on each end, and then we're going to do some spot welding across each end there. So there is a 0.5 millimeter gap on each end for that spot weld. So, just keep that in mind. I hope that all makes sense to everybody. And I'm going to take a little sip of my drink. Sean, what are you drinking tonight?
Some water.
I think whenever I go on Kirby and Johnny's show, they always say, "What are you drinking tonight?" And I always say, "Drinking some sparkling water." And they get
so disappointing.
What do you? Yes, they're like, "Oh, okay." They don't even say they're disappointed. They're just like, "Oh, okay." Like
they're probably they're thinking it.
So mad.
But they're probably afraid to say it. Well, I mean, you look at I say that not because I'm just like poking fun at them. We're good friends with them, but I mean, even on the core podcast artwork, like Kirby is sitting next to a bottle of Jack Daniels. So pretty sure there's also a keg behind Johnny. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's fair game.
Yeah, they're not looking for their guests to be drinking sparkling water. That's for sure.
Not really.
That's not why they invited me on.
No, that's not why.
Yeah. All right, I hope that this print makes sense to everybody. I hope you guys had a chance to grab a screen capture of the print. Of course, if you have any questions, let me know. There's a lot of info in this print to try to jam onto one print. You can see I wasn't even able to fit detail B up in the corner there. I had to lop off that circle. So let's see here. Okay. All right, cool. Let me switch back to. I'm gonna switch back to our full screen, our webcam, Sean. We got to talk a little bit about 3D Experience World. It's coming up next week. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like this week was the first week where it really kind of settled in. Yeah, it's nuts.
So just to bring everybody up to speed, just in case you guys don't, in case you guys aren't familiar with this, what we're talking about here, every year there is a world conference. It was known as SolidWorks World for a long time. I got this sweatshirt there. I was trying to flex this sweatshirt earlier with my little SolidWorks badge on it while Sean was talking. I was trying to pick it up, and then I realized I have some kind of like paint or something near the logo, and then I felt like I was just wearing a dirty sweatshirt, and I felt bad, so then I just flipped it back down. But I got this at SolidWorks World a couple years ago. That's the point of that story. And so every year there's a world conference. It's known as SolidWorks World up until 2020, at which point it was renamed to 3D Experience World. So 3D Experience is the new kind of overall flagship product of Dassault. It's kind of a culmination of all the different Dassault products all combined together in one spot. Gives you the ability to do everything that you could imagine, really, in the world of engineering or even not in engineering. So your 3D CAD modeling, your EBOM, MBOM, management, data management, high-end simulation, even like marketing tools and going out and doing trend analytics, statistical analytics across the internet to find out how the market is shifting, like everything you can imagine, facilitating machining applications, managing shop floors. All these different tools are all kind of rolled together in one spot, and that one spot is called 3D Experience. And so the name of the conference has changed to 3D Experience World. And last year it was in Nashville, Tennessee. It was amazing. Just like every year, everybody gets together. You see people that you only really see once a year. It's kind of like being a part of any community that has an annual conference. A lot of times you see people there that you really don't see the rest of the year. But it's like you're right back to where you were last year. You're right back to being good friends. You have the same interest. You're kind of wired the same way because you're all engineers. And so it's just a beautiful community engagement. And really, for me, it's kind of an opportunity to spend time in the real world with people who share a lot of the same interests and really are wired the same way that I am. The rest of the time that I spend, maybe you're with your coworkers who do different jobs. They don't really do SolidWorks all day, or maybe you're with your family who doesn't really tick that same way. They're not really getting excited because you successfully printed something out of Cheetah Flex. They're like, I don't care. I don't even know what you do down there. Like, shut up, go back downstairs. They don't care.
Or you've just gotten to the point where you don't even tell them anymore because you're like, they don't care, they don't get it.
Yeah, you don't get it. You don't have any idea. You just see this so what you're saying is you can build stuff out of rubber now? That's great. Like, but me, I'm like, you don't understand how much trouble this represents, like 80 hours of troubleshooting, me getting to this point where I can, I got this thing. I found a benchmark and it printed out and it's actually flexible. It can actually squeeze. This represents so much troubleshooting and research, and I finally got it, and it came out beautiful. It
means so much to me.
It means so much to me. Yeah. So going to the World Conference is always so refreshing and so nice, and just such a great opportunity to catch up with people who have been there in the trenches, who you can really talk shop with, and unfortunately, this year it is virtual. And it's kind of a bummer, like in the sense of that, that's what I was looking forward to, is all those things I just mentioned a moment ago. But it is happening, and I cannot believe how quickly it's happening. And because it's virtual, it first of all, it's free this year, which is great. It's also free from logistical travel standpoint. Not only does the ticket to the conference cost money, but often more expensive is just your hotel for the week and your air travel to get there. It also makes it far more accessible for people who maybe just logistically couldn't get there, particularly from remote locations. But even just people who maybe couldn't get out of work for that long, if you can't leave work for 3-4 days in a row, the ability to actually tune in and get this great content and still engage and still interface with other people who kind of share the same interests as you. It's a great opportunity, I think, this year. And Sean, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show was to talk a little bit about that aspect of it, the community aspect. So last week, on my show last week, I talked through the process of building an agenda. I showed everybody how you can register for free. I showed everybody how you can get in there and how you can select the different sessions that you want to attend. And then I went through and showed everybody how kind of just talked through a little bit about which sessions I was planning on attending, and reminded everybody about how to get logged into Model Mania. Very important. So beyond that, beyond the ability to view the sessions and kind of watch the recordings of the session, what else do we have to offer for people to to engage in kind of more community activities? I figured you are definitely the right person to ask this question to.
Yeah, for sure. Happy, and obviously, always happy to be here. In terms of, you mentioned Toby last year, the Hive Mind meetups. They've really taken center stage this year, meetups overall. I mean, if you think about last year, it was kind of a pilot that we did. And it's funny, I don't know if Tom knows this, but I always reference Tom Smith when I talk about like why we created these.
So what is it, first of all? So Hive Mind last year, let's say I wasn't there. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah,
what is
no
it?
idea, right?
We're at the World Conference. We know what that is now. There's, say, 5,000 people have all convened in Nashville to talk about SolidWorks and 3D experience. They see a sign that says Hive Mind. Wait, no, not Hive Mind. Hive, is that what it is? Hive Mind?
No, you're right. You're spot on.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it?
So at SolidWorks World 2019, there was a space that was introduced called the Hive. That's it. It's called the Hive. And that space was cool. Basically, what it was a space where you could drop by and you could, meet, veterans of the event, right? People, we all know them, and a lot of them here in this chat, right? Where basically, you've been in the world 10, 15, 20 years or whatever. And all the ins and outs about how to sort of get, maximize, as we all say, like maximize your time at the event, maximize your experience. And as we also know, right, there are people, actually Johnny, who we were just talking about, Johnny Harrison was one of those people at SolidWorks World 2019, where it's like your first timer, it's your first time at Worlds. And it was also kind of meant to be a space where you could, obviously hang out, get coffee, exchange, have some like casual conversation, but also like for those sort of veteran world attendees to sort of meet the first timers, because I think we can all say like the first time experience, at any big conference, especially SolidWorks World or 3D Experience World, can be crazy.
You don't have any idea what to do.
It's like there's these general sessions, there's thousands of people. It's probably a new city for you, or you're spending a ton of time in the city for the first time. There are these breakout sessions. Okay, there's hundreds of these. What do I do? So like, I don't have to keep going, but like you get it. It's overwhelming.
Yeah. I mean,
right?
so it's not only for so I like that. So one of the elements of it is if you're a new user, if you're going there for the first time, make sure you check out the Hive, because you're going to have the opportunity to meet more experienced users.
And that was the Hive, right? Okay. So what we did to evolve that, right, and it's for 3D Experience World 2020, was we took kind of the spirit of the Hive and we said, okay, and this is where Tom comes in. He basically said to me at some point, he said, I really wish we had sort of more of a birds of a feather type of experience, or I wish we had more of that at Worlds. And I took that and I stored it away for months, years, and I just kind of remembered it. And then I came on board here and I thought, you know what? He's right. He's absolutely right. Like we don't do anything like that right now. So we have the Hive, but let's extend that. Let's make a branch off of the Hive and let's call it the Hive Mind meetups, which essentially were like 30-minute speed networking sessions that were dedicated to giving sort of each major category of event attendee the ability to meet others who are more or less like them, and kind of take connections, from that little session. And then as a key takeaway, which you and I are like addicted to key takeaways, sort of make sure that you establish that connection after the event. Make sure you have a follow-up activity, connect with them on social media, or, set up a follow-up call to talk about, how you guys can work together. Whatever it is, or maybe it's you met a new mentor, right? Let's talk about how, maybe you could help me guide my career or my next career move. There was a lot of that going on. These aren't hypotheticals. I saw it firsthand at the Hive Mind meetups. And, we started off with really just 4 different types and 4 different sessions. So we had, it was like designers and engineers, CAD, PDM, admins. We had makers, artists, hobbyists, which is crazy general category. I always laugh at it. And then we had startup professionals and entrepreneurs. Each of them kind of had a different flavor to them, right? Just different types of people.
Were they separated by like physical tables, or how did you kind of indicate who was supposed to go where?
It's a good question. So just to clarify, like each session was for a different type of professional. So we had one session that was just for designers and engineers. And then we had another session at a different time in that same space that was just for startup professionals and entrepreneurs. So that was kind of how we did it. And then we basically, it's pretty simple. Like we just had, I brought like a little bell to kind of start the networking activities.
Okay.
We kind of gave like the 3 kind of key takeaways to sort of, or 3, pieces of success criteria to really make sure you maximize your time at the event or at the little session.
I like that. I love the use of the physical bell.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was one of those bells you get at like Staples or one of those office supply stores that goes on like a desk, like a tabletop. It's like ding, ding, ding.
Okay. Like a front desk.
It's a front desk bell.
Yeah.
That's exactly, it was like $8, but it was well worth it.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. It was high top tables, and it was a Spotify playlist, and that was it. Nice.
Oh, shout out to Spotify.
It's easy when everyone's at an event and it's a networking event, and like, even though it can be uncomfortable to go up and talk to like random people sometimes, that's why we're all here.
So that sounds like a great value add to going to the World Conference in Nashville last year. How does that translate to this virtual conference this year?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, they've really taken center stage. So we always had the plan.
Center stage. Okay.
Main stage.
Okay, let's see it.
That's not main stage.
Let's go.
No, I mean, so we always had the plan to do more of them, right? Because we just had so much great feedback about, what they added to the event. I think Jose Umana, who both you and I know.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Jose Umana.
He said the nicest thing. He came up to me, and obviously he didn't have to say this, but he said, and I hope, I didn't get the sense he was being hyperbolic about it at all. But he said, you know what, like just being able to do this, like just being able to meet people in these sorts of spaces and these sorts of environments, lighthearted, relaxed, being able to do this, make these connections, like it was well worth coming to the event overall to do this. Which is like, you and I know, it's like you've gotten that compliment, I am sure, awesome, like hundreds of times for your sessions. But yeah, like
it's important. I mean, if it's gonna be, I think it's very important. I think, I completely agree with that sentiment that a lot of times it's all, I mean, this is kind of what we've been saying the whole time. A lot of times the World Conference is all about meeting people, and interacting with people. And it's, I've definitely met people who I've resonated with, more at that conference than probably anywhere else, throughout my life. I mean, it makes sense. We all have that same passion. We're all clearly wired in similar fashions. So, but it's just nice to be able to have a real long, drawn out conversation about a topic that, I normally don't get to talk about at that level.
Yeah, for sure. So just to kind of answer your question more directly, like you were saying, how does it kind of feature at 2021? It can be a little strange, right? Virtual networking's a little bit different. It's understating it. It's a lot different. Like I can't see like your mannerisms as much. I can't do all the people stuff as much as I can, readily when we're in person and we're just right in front of each other. Obviously there's a good bit that's different. So Ryan Pretty, who's the digital communities manager here at SolidWorks, as well as Dan Wagner, who I mentioned earlier, as SWG manager, and I, we've taken a lot of time to kind of think about, we wanted to do more Hive Mind meetups, but in a sense, the Hive Mind meetups have become very important because we wanted to do more sort of networking activities that were a bit more activity based, and we, like you said, with World this year, because it's free, because it's digital, because the logistical hurdles are definitely not as high this year. They're almost zero. It's just the time zone thing, basically, for some people.
And the time itself.
Yeah, the time itself, right? Because you have to kind of break away to be able to participate. But again, there's just less hurdles than ever. So we have tons of Hive Mind meetups. So if you filter to meetups, on the 3D Experience World agenda, you'll see a bunch of Hive Mind meetups, which will be activity based, and we're going to be using sort of special software to kind of make it so that you come in and we sort of present those like key success criteria, and then you get automatically broken out into smaller groups. I don't know about you, Toby, but I can't stand being in a group full of like hundreds of people and expected to do anything called networking online.
Way too much.
No, it's way too much. It's ridiculous. Like, it felt disingenuous to even like say that it would be networking. Like, you can't really do that. But so we have special software that will allow us to sort of break ourselves out in the smaller groups, have those like sort of more intimate discussions, and then come back to kind of close out. But yeah, it'll be sort of all throughout, the week. And
so how do you sign into it? You just look for it how do you sign into it? I mean, am I correct in thinking that the World Conference will have like a general lobby? Like, is that the playground?
Yeah, so the playground is kind of like we used to call it, we used to call it the partner pavilion. So essentially the playground is kind of like, at least in a physical space, we would think of it as like that big space with all the booths. That's still here. So we have the 3 Experience Playground, which is that, where you can kind of check out all the partners. No, so these are basically like sessions.
Okay.
So essentially they occur at a certain time, and they show up on the agenda. So you would schedule your time just like you were going to a session on sheet metal, right? But you would just be setting that time aside to, specifically to network.
Well, I gotta tell you, 3167 says these Hive Mind meetups sound super cool, and I gotta say I agree. 3167, and also I just want to say as an aside, if you guys have ever heard of the game Hive Mind, it's a great party game, super easy to learn. Shout out to Hive Mind. Affiliate links in the description.
It was the biggest, so when we were talking about like doing the Hive Mind meetups, we already had that space called the Hive, which is a lot easier to pull off in person, right? But then I was saying, okay, well, like you said, Toby, like there is this idea of Hive Mind. It's like, yeah, it makes sense. And there are a couple of people who are like, I don't know about the name. I'm like, we already invested in that name, the Hive. Like, it's the biggest no-brainer. It is a layup of a name. Like, take it. We got to do that.
That's funny.
So, yeah.
Yep. All right, cool, man. Well, I want to make sure we give everybody enough time to do the final model, so I'm going to just click back through the chat. But if you want to take a look at some of the chat messages, if any of them really stick out to you, I see Josh Myers is saying here, TooTallToby and Sean, you've encouraged me to become a SolidWorks champion. Just submitted my application. So that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and a lot of good feedback here. We're getting a lot of love from like Cam and Eric saying, everything that we're saying about, meeting up, talking to other people, getting into these long conversations. I think that was when that comment came in. So yeah, it's definitely something that I love, and I'm excited to get back to it in 2022 for sure. All right, let me flip back to my PowerPoint here. I love when I am showing OBS and then I show my screen and it goes into that like super tunnel thing, because it reminds me of when we were kids. We would take a video camera and then run it into the RCAs in the front of the TV or in the front of the VCR, and then we point the video camera at the TV and you would get that same effect. And it's really bringing back some nostalgia.
Yeah, I like that.
Happen, yeah. I wonder if they actually if OBS slows it down just so that you can get that nostalgia again, because I can't imagine it actually processes that slow in real time. But anyhow, so let's take a look at this sheet metal challenge here. We saw some great feedback. Man, there were some conversations that were really making me laugh there about this the realism of producing this sheet metal challenge. So let's see here. Let me just see if I can get back to where we get our first answers here. So we posted this challenge, and pretty soon after we posted the challenge, none other than Tom Smith, winner of 21-02-01 earlier tonight, came in with an answer of 559.356 grams, which we're rounding this to the nearest gram. So 559, and I actually I do have a slight tolerance on this thing of plus or minus one gram. So there is a range on this answer. Sorry, I didn't write the tolerance in there, but there is a range on this answer. And then 3167 came in here with 640.66, so we'll call that 641. So we got 559, we got 641. Then Tom revised his answer to just straight 560. Sky Captain coming in here at 559.6, so that's 560 as well. Cam Smith, 560. So we're getting a lot here right around 559, 560. Clark says he came in here at 560, struggled with the edges a little bit. Nicely done, Clark. Joseph coming in here with 558. Nicely done, Joseph. Everybody's kind of right in that same range, 558, 559, 560. Then we got into some discussion here about whether or not this would be or would not be actually made in a shop and what the shop would think about a model like this. We see Timothy coming in here at 561. Nicely done, Timothy. And then again, this is my favorite comment, I think, possibly my favorite comment of the night here, where Joseph says, yeah, I don't think you could actually bend steel this thick at that radius. And then Sky Captain says, not at room temperature. I love engineering humor. I'm sorry. I just think it's so funny. Yeah, but I mean, I agree. That's what makes it funny, I guess. Okay, 3167 is going to check out my series on sheet metal. That would be awesome. 3167. Some good kind of basics of sheet metal in there. Little discussion of aluminum versus steel in here. Always good when you're on a Monday night live stream. RK joined us halfway through that challenge. What's up, RK? Welcome. And let's see here. Allness Auxiliary Moose came in here at 559.9, so that is 560 as well. And let's see here. We got a flagged message coming in. We'll check out that as well. Okay. Timothy coming in at 560. Nicely done. And then there was a little discussion here about this region of the model. Here where we did our 0.5 gap for the spot weld and what is the best way to get that 0.5 gap in there. And that's a great discussion. I don't really have a good answer for you that I'm going to get into tonight anyway, but it is a great discussion. Okay, and then Cam said a curse word here. Oh, no, Tom said a curse word, so he got flagged. I'm going to show it anyway, though, since everybody can see it anyway. That's the kind of moderator that I am. Moldulci says VHS or beta. I just came into the scene after beta had faltered. So it was all VHS for me. Let's see here. All right, and 3167 came in at 560. Nicely done. All right. 3167 says this is a throwback to last week. Sean, before the show started last week, I was late for the show because I got my van stuck in the mud. And 3167, the answer to that question is I have a neighbor who actually has a full-out excavator. It's probably like technically a mini excavator, but he's got a full-out excavator, and he came over and put some chains on the axle and yanked that thing right out like it was nothing. So it ended as a happy story, and we got all the firewood, and now that we're in a blizzard, I'm glad that we have all the firewood.
You know what they say, Toby? Sometimes the answer you expect is the answer you get.
That's what you were thinking was going to happen, huh? Yeah, it was. I mean, I guess everybody probably knew that was going to happen.
So predictable.
So predictable. Just happen to have a neighbor with an excavator just literally like in his driveway, and he's just like, oh, I got my excavator. I'll bring it over. Just yank you out. No problem. I called him to ask for a chain, and he's like, you know what? Why don't I just bring the whole excavator?
I'll do you 1,000 better.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right, cool. All right. So what is the correct answer, guys? So the correct answer is 560. So shout out to Tom Smith going 2 for 2 tonight. He might sweep it. I think up to this date, it's still only ever been Clark, if my memory serves me correctly. It's only ever been Clark who sweeped, who got all 3 correct and first. And so we can see here, Tom Smith has a chance to take that same accomplishment. We're going to have to come up with a badge or something for Tom Smith if he does it. All right, here we go, guys. Final challenge here. I really like this model. I think you guys are going to really like this one, too. I was super happy with how this came out. Again, one of these examples where I saw something in an old mechanical engineering manual and decided to mock it up here for everybody tonight. So you can see Eric says, never bring a chain to an excavator fight. Yeah, it's good advice. Do you see? And Eric's comment earlier was really funny. He said, my key takeaway from tonight is that Toby and Sean really like key takeaways. So thought that was pretty clutch.
It was.
All right, here we go. Hope you guys have the correct materials. Let me flip over to full screen for this print. This one is called Bracket. And 3, 2, 1, go. So this one is really straightforward. One thing I forgot to mention, the tolerance on that last one was plus or minus 1 G. Probably shouldn't even bother saying that now. I'll circle back to that at the end. Don't worry about what I'm saying right now. This one doesn't have a tolerance. This one is very straightforward. What is the mass of this part in XXXG? So you guys got to figure out what the mass of this part is. You can see that I only have a front view and then an auxiliary view on this part. And the auxiliary view AA, smaller scale. I don't think you're going to ever see that on a standard ANSI or ISO print. But that's a little Toby move, a little Toby maneuver there to make sure that I can fit everything onto one print. So what is the mass of this part in XXXG? I'm going to let you guys look at this, grab a screen capture. I'm going to step away from my computer for just 1 second, Sean. I will be right back. Looks like Tom Smith says more sheet metal. What do you think about this model, Sean? You got the answer?
I don't have the answer.
Okay.
The model's super cool though. I like it.
Thank you. I also really was happy with how this one turned out. This is one of these. Sometimes I make these models and I think to myself, I should just save this for the next tournament. This is one of the models that gave me that feeling. So this would be a really fun. I would love to see how other people model this up.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see.
I'm going to flip this over to the different scales are. Oh, Jason says different scales are appropriate, just needs to be noted as such. Oh, shout out to Jason. Thanks a lot. He's co-signing on that one. Jason, I would not get in the habit of co-signing on my drawing tactics because they are often very out of line, but I do really appreciate the support. Sean, I'm going to flip over to the webcams. Yeah, I do really appreciate the support, Jason. I just know that, especially when I first started doing this series, every time I'd post a drawing, I would just get flamed on the message boards, and they just would say, "You can't. That doesn't meet the standard. You can't do that in a drawing." Or my favorite would be like, "First of all," the comment would always start by saying, "First of all, if a drawing like this ever came across my desk, I would reject it." That's what people would always say in the chat. Or not in the chat, but like on the message board. Mainly on Reddit. These are Reddit comments, obviously. You can probably tell from the tone.
Yeah, Reddit is I think we'd all agree in the chat. It's hilarious. It's a unique place.
Yes, it is. I love it, man.
I don't know how else to say it.
It's a completely unique place, yeah.
Yeah.
So Sean, I got up there for a second. I got up there for a second because I wanted to go and grab this game here.
Oh, there it is.
Hive Mind. So if you've never played this, I encourage you to get a copy of it. I don't actually have an affiliate link, but I do encourage you guys to get this game. It's a really fun, easy, great party game. It's like people can drop in and drop out real easily, and it's just a super easy, like a fun night type of game.
That's awesome. Hey, speaking of Reddit, Toby, it's topical to bring it up.
I can't wait to see what you have to say about this.
No, this is you're good. I mean, you're gonna know, but
okay.
So a lot of you I know, and I do the same. Go to the SolidWorks subreddit. It's a fun place to be a lot of times. It's a cool place to ask questions too, and it's kind of a community of its own, right? And I think it's really cool in that way, and that it's just a bunch of users kind of gathering and. It isn't like managed by us, and we're not trying to strong arm any of that. And my personal preference would be to never do that. I don't think it should be. But we are, trying to sort of engage that community in a cool way for 3D Experience World 2021. So if you go there now, there's actually a pinned post, and we cleared it with the mods. They're cool with it. Obviously, ask them first because you don't want to do anything that's not cool with the mods. If you go there,
I got it up on the screen here over top of my image, so so everybody can see what you're talking about as you're talking.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you go there, there's a pinned post by someone named I'm a Boss 2021. No idea who that is, but
That's a great username.
Yeah, great avatar too, I must say. Really a lot of effort put into that one.
Yep, that's nice.
So nice.
Okay.
Great graphic designer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you check that out, there's a code actually you can register for 3D Experience World 2021 with that gets you access to a Redditors only meetup.
Okay.
Starting on Tuesday night of World. Yeah, so it's going to be from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern, so it's kind of off event hours. And basically, it's a SolidWorks trivia event with 2-Bit Circus, who runs a great show. So part of it's going to be SolidWorks trivia, which I know like we all love. Part of it's going to be sort of like fun trivia, and they host a really entertaining atmosphere. So a common question that comes up, by the way, you can register with that code still today. If you look in the comments, though, there is a smart sheet link where you can kind of
scroll down into it.
Yeah, so a lot of you I know have registered, whether it's the Champions VIP code for World or some other VIP code. Let's say if you registered within the first N number of people, you kind of got VIP access for this event way back when. And people were kind of saying, well, hey, if I register with a different VIP code, am I just not allowed to go to this event? No, not at all. Definitely just trying to, let anyone who's registered to go to the event and is a subreddit member of our SolidWorks Go. So basically, long story short, if you have registered with a different VIP code than 3DX21 RSW, like we say in that thread, you can fill out that form. Just tell us which code you did register for and give us your contact info, or make sure you get invited to that Tuesday night event.
You'll take care of them.
Yeah, you'll be taken care of. It'll be a really fun thing. Promise you that. It'll be really cool.
That's cool. What kind of trivia? Like how many lines of code are in SolidWorks?
Probably not something that abstract. Like probably something where like I think cool trivia in terms of SolidWorks, if you have to do multiple choice and you only have like a short time frame, it's something that someone could probably know in their gut, probably have the right answer, but also something that would be kind of a pain to Google or almost impossible to Google within time allotted. That's the balance to me. So gotcha. Those sorts of questions I feel like are what are being strived for.
Gotcha. So let me ask you something, Sean. World Conference is coming up next week. Maybe you could tell us some things that you would want to make sure people don't miss. Like, what do you want to make sure you don't miss? I mean, I know one thing isn't there like a presentation called "You Don't Want to Miss This Demo"? Is that for the general? Is that for everybody, or is that for the partners only? Do you know? You know what I'm talking about at all?
I do. Yeah, that's open to registrants. Okay. There's actually a lot of. This is one of the cool things we did in the Champions program this year. There's actually a lot of champions featured as part of those sessions.
Okay.
So won't say much more than that. But there are champions featured in that session, which is one of the cool things, right? We could always do this. We just never thought to do it. And I feel like there was kind of a stigma that was lifted in terms of video recording quality when we went into the pandemic. If there was a bright side of that, it's one good thing, right? Where basically when we're producing video and we're kind of putting together recorded content, someone taking a video on their cell phone or taking a video on their webcam, which isn't like 4K, is now, you don't have to feel bad about that, right? Not that you had to before, but like I know for me personally, I was very sensitive to that. And so now it's like basically, hey, we're going to put together some video content. Don't feel weird if you don't have the latest iPhone. Don't feel weird if you don't have, the 4K Logitech external webcam that streams 4K, whatever. We're kind of crowdsourcing almost some content. So don't miss this demo. We'll feature some SolidWorks champions. So that'll be a cool one.
Yeah, I think that's also kind of like the like if you want to see kind of what's coming up next, it's. I mean, I don't know how much I want to say. I just will say, don't miss this demo.
Just in general.
Yeah, just in general, don't miss
right? Yeah. Yeah, a good thing to mention too is like I know a lot of you remember, for example, like I think it was called like concept to consumer. A lot of with Irby. Remember the scooter that scooters. Was kind of the main story, I think, of like SolidWorks 2017 or 2018 when that came out. Basically, Brian Zayas, Jordan Tadek, like all, basically like our most polished content creators. That team is kind of doing those sessions.
That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. So basically, like I've long said, and I tell them all the time, like even before I joined this team, like if they're doing something, the production quality is going to be like, and not the production quality, but just the quality of the session is going to be so high, because they take painstaking care of all the things they're doing in terms of story. Like you should see, like even the, like they're like I've seen some of the stuff they prep with. It's just insane. So I recommend not missing those things.
So, okay. So we got the Hive sessions, which you're going to be able to access from the playground. Is that right?
So the Hive sessions you can actually access from your agenda.
Okay. So from your agenda.
Yeah. So if you go into your agenda, and you can filter to meetups, and there's a lot of different types of meetups. There are product focused meetups. Actually, Toby, if we get time at some point, I can actually kind of go through. I put together some lists of just kind of sessions I recommend, or ones that caught my eye.
Yeah, and in the meantime, I'm while you're talking, I'm just kind of clicking through here. Like, so I'm looking at the 3D Experience World site. I'm in the sessions. I go down to meetups, and then I see these Hive Mind meetups. So that's where everybody's gonna get together and play that Hive Mind game.
Yeah, so if you register for the session, which there are a lot of people registered so far for a good bit of them, especially as we would guess, the designers and engineers sessions. But yeah, you can look at those there, but you also see a good bit of others.
Cool. All right. Well, I think, on that note, maybe I'll just flip it over to you. We're running a little overtime right now. We're in OT. So I'm going to just flip it over to you for a minute. If you want to show your screen and just kind of like maybe just talk through one or two of the highlights you want to make sure people don't miss, because it's not often we get a chance to have somebody like you who really knows the conference on our show, and I think you're definitely going to be able to give some value here. I hate to rush you, but I went a little too long-winded, I think, when I was getting excited talking about those sheet metal jokes.
No, absolutely. So I just a couple things. I mean, feel free also just to take screen grabs. I mean, and you can also just, obviously I always say, like, and you would say the same, Toby, just look through the agenda. These are ones that I thought were really cool from day one. So that Tuesday.
Okay.
Collaborative design using SolidWorks, I think is really cool.
I'm doing that one.
Yeah.
All right.
Had to put you first.
What a guy. Oh man, you're the best guest ever.
Model Mania, obviously don't miss that. It's not really a session, I guess, but definitely don't miss that. Clean up concept design with 3D Experience SolidWorks and 3D Sculptor. Kind of seeing that interoperability in the modeling environment, which I've been very interested in, and I know a lot of people are. How do they actually interoperate? What's that like?
Yep.
It's kind of a bit of a mystery, I think, for a lot of people, which can be demystified here. Things machinists wish engineers knew. I know Cam mentioned this too. I just think that's such an awesome topic.
Yeah.
Mark Biassotti's doing advanced modeling with curves, part 1, which he's just a legend. So that's a really cool one. So day 2, feature design and manufacturing. Titan of Titans of CNC is kind of partnering with a lot of our folks on that. Basically Brian Zayas' team, with Jordan Tadek, Mike Sandy, bunch of people that and have loved watching presentations for. So that's going to be really cool. Recommend taking that one. Jason Poole doing industrial design stuff there.
That's Jason from Orange County Choppers?
Yep.
Nice.
That's Jason from Orange County Choppers, yeah. So it's going to be
formerly from Orange County Choppers, should clarify.
Yes, should clarify, yeah. 3D Experience Platform Customer Success Stories. I recommend this one, obviously, because you can go on the SolidWorks YouTube and just find out like whatever you want about any capability, and our team does a really good job with that stuff. But actually hearing like how actual real people use this stuff is important, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
And Mark Rushton, who we work with in product portfolio management, is going to be given that one.
That's cool.
And he's SolidWorks OG, so that'd be really good. Animation Secrets from CAD Model of the Day, Rob Maldonado. No stranger to TooTallToby.
Yeah, shout out to Rob. That's awesome. So it's Virtual Flat CAD, if you guys aren't familiar with his stuff, but he often posts on Twitter and LinkedIn, and CAD Model of the Day. He always is coming up with cool models.
Yep. Modeling machining on the 3D Experience platform, so showing some cool Delmia stuff. The best SolidWorks feature enhancements of this decade, a tall order. So hopefully the presenter pulls that one off pretty well, because that's a lot of good content.
Well, wait, if he's saying of this decade, does he just mean what's new in 2020 and 2021?
I mean, I guess it depends. Yeah, like if
It's really just what's new in 2021.
well, it's a fail safe, right? Like if you get to the table and it's like the last 10 years, and start chewing your nails and you're like, oh, I can't do it. You can always just settle for the last year.
That's true. That's true. It's good. That's a good backup.
Betty and Eric, Betty Baker, Eric Beatty,
Yeah, shout out to Eric.
others. Life After School. This was shout out during Champion Central Live meetup this past Friday. A panel discussion for students. This is great. I can't recommend this enough. We all know how scary that time can be, just like graduating school or like basically knowing you're going into the workforce and not exactly knowing what the next step should be. Hearing from people who actually have gone through those bumps in the road and have successful careers in the industry and are strong voices in the community, like you can't beat it. So recommend that to anyone who's kind of going through that. SolidWorks desktop meetup discussion directly with R&D, really cool. 3D Experience R&D meetup, kind of the other side of that. And we talked about it, don't miss this demo. So there's a couple of different iterations of don't miss this demo. So just look out for that on the agenda. But yeah, these are some things I'm looking forward to personally.
Dude, that's a great overview. Thank you so much for sharing that. My goodness, that was good. Sure. And great timing too.
Yeah, try to go fast, man.
Yeah, that was perfect, man. You did perfect. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
All right, cool. Well, Sean, I'm going to flip back to the PowerPoint here just to see if we can find out if we can have somebody with the right answer. But also, I'm going to come back to you before we end here, just so that I can, we can say goodbye and we can say thank you one last time. Because I got to tell you, you're an amazing guest. If you guys are enjoying Sean, be sure to hit that like button in YouTube. And of course, we'll ask for a one at the end here. You don't have to put ones in the chat yet. We'll get there in just a moment. But I just want to mention, I read something from Cam here in the chat saying that Model Mania isn't showing up in his agenda, but Eric says it is showing up in his agenda. So, and Tom says he sees it in his agenda as well. So I think maybe Cam, you just got banned from Model Mania. Sorry about that. That's a bummer that you won't be there. And now I see there's people actually talking trash in the chat about who's going to win Model Mania, so I love it. Ultimately, I don't care who wins Model Mania as long as it's one of you who hangs out here in TooTallToby, because I think it would be so awesome if we had all TooTallToby people on stage winning first, second, and third this year. It would just be the most amazing Model Mania session if we just sweep it outright, you know. So let's take a look at this last one here. I really enjoyed this model. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it too. I love seeing all the chatter about this model. This was a cool one. There's a number of different ways that you could certainly accomplish this. So let me just bring up the chat here and let's take a look here at what some people thought about this. So looks like the very first answer that came in for this one came in pretty quick actually after I posted the print, but it looks like the first one that came in here was from. Let's see here. Just make sure we don't get the last one. Okay, cool. Oh, shout out to Moldolci. He says he got that one 559 or 560, his first sheet metal part. Yeah, that previous one, that sheet metal one, that was 560 plus or minus 1. So 559 up to 561. If you got 559 up to 561, you got it right. And I don't really have an answer for you as far as the best way to do those offset half inch or half a millimeter gap for the spot weld. I thought that kind of was what made it a neat challenge, was that I couldn't really find a clean way to do it. I just kind of had to brute force my way through it. And it looks like probably some of you had to do that too. There were a couple other little tricky things with it too, like if you make the flanges go up to, if you made those flanges go up to vertex here, so this outside flange, if you go up to vertex and pick this vertex here, well, the flange either comes up too short or too long, depending which side of the model you're on. So I thought that was kind of tricky too. You have to remember to do parallel to flange instead of like the perpendicular option. So there was a couple of little tricky things in that one. I hope you guys like that. I'm going to try and give you some more sheet metal stuff. It's been quite a few years since I've done sheet metal in the field, so I'm probably forgetting some of my moves here and some best practices. And like I said, I feel a little handcuffed in trying to ensure that anybody can do this, even if they don't have the SolidWorks sheet metal tools. So we might just have to have kind of like a fork where we leave some of those people behind if they don't have the sheet metal skills, or maybe it's just more motivation for them to learn the sheet metal skills, and we can really kind of open up the throttle there if we get to that point. So looks like we're getting a lot of support for more and more sheet metal here in the chat, and so we're going to definitely try to, we want to give the chat what they want, right? You gotta do what the chat wants, right, Sean?
Absolutely. The people have spoken.
Yes, the people have spoken indeed. All right, so that brings us down to this challenge here, the bevel gear, and it looks like the first answer that came in here from none other than Tom Smith, winner of the first two challenges at 823G. And then Tom Smith circled back and said 824G. This kind of reminds me back to the tournament that we had last year and earlier, back in December as well, twice last year, where you were allowed to have one wrong answer. And then the second time you get a wrong answer, you were no longer able to answer. And it created a lot of pretty exciting, dramatic moments in the tournament, especially in the one in December. So Tom Smith got it wrong once, took his mulligan, came back in and said 824. Is that right or is it wrong? I don't know yet. I don't want to say. Clark says 824 as well and says GG Tom. So it looks like he's co-signing on Tom's answer there. Let's see here. Josh says he's drinking Oregon beer. Shout out to Josh and Oregon beer. That's the way to go for sure. All in this auxiliary moose here says 824. Timothy says 823. Clark says 823 is going to be with tolerance. No tolerance on this one, Clark. So it is either 823 or it is 824. Let's see here. Tom says he missed the radius at first. Yep, that'll definitely contribute to it. Looks like Cam here came up with 823. Nice job, Cam. And let's see here. We got 3167 coming in at 820. Circling back, coming back in with 823. Sky Captain at 837, maybe a little bit high there. Moldulci at 823 as well. Sky Captain revising to 824. Nicely done. Sky Captain, Philo Mathis here coming in at 824. Nice job, Nick. And then a little bit of discussion here about how he made these features. Love these chats. 3167 revising up to 824. Nicely done. Cam coming in here at 824 as well. Nicely done, Cam. Moldulci coming in at 824. Very nicely done here. Look, I mean, you guys are just crushing. I think maybe I need to make these a little bit more difficult here. But I mean, I think it's good. I'm not trying to stump everyone. I want people to have this challenge and see how fast they can do it, but still be accurate. That's the important part, right? Shout out to Theodore here. Haven't seen you in the chat before, Theodore, so welcome. And 824 as well. Nicely done. Looks like the consensus here is 824. Then I love this discussion here of how to do it. This is what it's all really about. This is why I like the tournament so much, because you can actually see the way that people are going through and creating these models. So shout out to Nick there and Eric and Cam and Timothy all talking through that. Eric here giving a cosign to Jason. He's going to give a great presentation. Eric, I can't wait to see your presentation as well. I think it's going to be awesome. I will definitely be there in the chat unless I have a presentation at the same time, which I don't even know. I think I'm in 4 or 5 different presentations at this point. Okay, here we go. All right, then the discussion of Model Mania. Joseph in here at 824. Nicely done, Joseph. And alrighty, everybody's giving Sean a +1. They all love you, Sean, so much. Let's see here. Are you able to do simulation segment without SolidWorks Premium? Yeah, the answer to that question is in years past, and I don't know how they're going to do it this year, but in years past, it was Simulation Express that you would use, and that is available in all seats of SolidWorks. Now, again, I don't know if they're even going to actually do that this year. If you know SolidWorks, then you know that the Express products require an activation of their own. So when you turn on the Express products, you have to input a code, and you have to get that code from a website. So, I mean, you can imagine that's going to tack on, I'd say a fair estimate would be 30 seconds to your time. So I would say make sure that you have Simulation Express up and running. It's in the pull-down menu under the Express tools, and make sure that simulation's up and running. Maybe do a couple of quick factor of safety checks. In years past, they've always asked for factor of safety. Again, I don't know what they're going to do this year, but if they are doing what they've done in years past, then that will be a great opportunity to save some time by making sure, number one, you've got the dang tool activated, and number two, that you know how to quickly get in there and view your results on factor of safety. So if, you took a part like the one that we have up on the screen here, and you went through and you ran a study on it and then did factor of safety, you would kind of be ahead of the game. In fact, maybe I'll show that at the end just to make sure that everyone kind of knows how to do that. All right, let's see here. All right, what's up, Just? How you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Welcome. And all right, I think that's pretty much it for the answers. We got a request here to do some more multi-material challenges again. I think that's going to be awesome. Okay, and then finally just some discussions of Model Mania. So here we go. Let's take a look here. What is the correct answer? The correct answer is 824. So Sean, I'm putting you back on the screen. I think that is officially a Tom Smith clean sweep. So if you guys could please give Tom a GG in the chat. Tom, awesome job. 3 for 3, won all 3 of them. That is awesome, man. So congratulations to Tom Smith. Like I said, if you guys want to give Tom a GG in the chat, I think it's definitely well earned. What do you think about that, Sean?
Again, totally not surprising at all. But
what? Fair enough.
No, I mean, well, it's Tom. I mean, it's super. It's one of those things where it's like you're always kind of like Jordan, right? Michael Jordan. It's like you're always impressed, but you're never surprised.
Wow, I like the way you say that, man. You watch Save the Last Dance? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I have. I have watched Save the Last Dance, and I've watched The Last Dance as well.
All right, I'm switching back to my screen here, Sean. Okay, so guys, here's the tools, and then you go in here to Express Products, and then oops, okay, sorry. I'm doing a great job of this. It's completely off the screen. Let me try this again. Okay, here we go. Take two. All right, so here at the top of the screen, we can go to Tools, and then from Tools here, also at the top of the screen and also apparently off of the screen, we've got Express Products. So I know you can barely see that, and I apologize for that, but it is what it is. And then you go here to Simulation Express, and then it says, if you want to use this, you have to go to My SolidWorks and then do Express. And then that's where you're going to put in your simulation product code. So, if I'm switching back to our webcam, Sean. If they're going to be doing that, I mean, we need to make sure that maybe they're going to tell everybody ahead of time, like, make sure you go out and you make sure that this is working. But for all you guys out there that are watching tonight, I'd say make sure that you have the Simulation Express tools working before you get going, because that could be, okay, so now you click on that link, then what happens? Then you're in front of not a subscription wall, but you're in front of like a user account wall to get into My SolidWorks. So then you go to log in, and then it's like, oh, you don't have your password. You got to find your password. Oh, you actually don't even have an account on here. You got to create an account. I mean, you could like burn off the whole competition just doing that stuff. When you do the competition at World, they have the computers already set up, so you're already good to go. So looks like in the chat here, Nick is saying, thanks for the Simulation Express info, all set up now. Just has a question here. Does anyone know about the Model Mania Student Challenge? We have to record and submit recording of making a model using 3D Experience. Sean, do you know anything about that challenge?
Not entirely, no. I mean, it's with that level of specificity.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah.
All right, well, I think that's a great question, a great final question. Sorry that we weren't able to answer it, but I see some people are logging out. We've gone into overtime, kind of like in Save the Last Dance. The Chicago Bulls had to go into overtime. So if you guys enjoyed having our special guest here, Sean, give Sean a 1 in the chat. And GG to Tom Smith. Everybody I see here in the chat, I was off chat there for a second, but you can see here everybody is in here going through and saying GG. Cam Smith says Model Mania will be via virtual tester, single phase with a simulation. So it looks like Cam Smith might have an inside line here. Looks like it's only going to be one phase. There's not going to be a change. So it's going to be kind of like the models we have here. But there will be a thing at the end where they'll say, apply a force to this thing, and then what is the factor of safety or what is the max stress? I don't know what they're going to be asking, but definitely make sure you have Simulation or Simulation Express up and running before the challenge. And that'll hopefully give us a little bit of an edge here. Us being the amazing TooTallToby community here. Sean, I'm still showing your webcam. It's you and me in the chat here. We're just saying goodbye to everybody. We are winding down here to the end of the session. GG to Tom. If you guys enjoyed having Sean as a guest and you enjoyed the session tonight, give us a 1 in the chat. I see the chat is just lighting up with all 1s. Thank you all so much. Hope everybody has a great night, a great rest of the week. I hope you guys got all your practice in for Model Mania. If anybody has any questions, let us know, of course, down in the comments of this presentation tonight. And Sean, I got to say, thank you so much for being such a great guest. Thank you for all the inside tips on the Hive and 3D Experience World and what we should definitely not miss.
Absolutely. I guess in closing, definitely check out the core podcast. I know we didn't really get to talk about it too much during the session, but Kirby and Johnny are going to try their best to kind of from the user perspective recreate those conversations in the corridor, like that sort of vibe, if you know what I mean. That was so special and is so special about in-person conferences. They're trying to make that into a virtual thing. So they're going to be having some guests pop in and out, during the day. So definitely just Google the Core Podcast, subscribe to them on YouTube. You can check out their live streams. That'll be great. And
That's awesome.
It'll be a fun time. I mean, definitely even just the general sessions, like there'll be some new product announcements, as you might expect. So definitely kind of keep your eyes peeled. It'll be a good show. Yeah,
shout out for sure. Shout out to Johnny and Kirby. Looks like, they got some stuff set up there. The Core Podcast. Definitely check that out. Hanging in the hall. And Josh says, see y'all virtually next week. So I think that's a good place to stop. I'm going to flip over to just my single webcam. I want to say thank you so much to Sean for joining us tonight. Sean, you're an amazing guest as always. I want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. Appreciate you guys all being here. What's going to happen next with Model Monday Live is that we're going to take a break next week because of the World Conference. And then after that, I'm not sure if I'm going to be back the following week or not. I got to figure out what we're going to do for this summer. What I really want to do is have a little bit better of an international time for the Model Monday Live challenges and for the tournament, the midsummer tournament. So that's kind of where my head is right now, and I'm just trying to figure out what that time is going to be. Is it going to be earlier on Monday night, or is it going to be Saturday? So just kind of trying to figure that out, and that's kind of what's coming next. So look for Model Monday Live to return probably in 3-4 weeks, and it possibly will be on Saturday night instead of Monday night. We'll have to figure it out as we go. With all that being said, I just want to say thank you all so much. You guys are the most amazing chat. Really appreciate everybody being here, and I will see you guys in a few weeks. Have fun next week at the World Conference. I'll see everybody in there as well. I'll be all over the place and chatting it up with everybody, so look forward to seeing everybody in there as well. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.